I'll call the regular meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, Thursday, September 3rd, to order, please. Our invocation tonight will be led by Councilman Randy Cluart. Our pledge will be led by Fire Chief Chuck Montero from Donaldsonville.
Stand. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and for this gathering. Lord, within the past week or so, we've reminisced and looked back on some of the tragedies and the hurricanes that normally seek us out this time of the year. We thank you, Lord, for watching over us tonight, watching over Ascension Parish and the Gulf South region, and steering the hurricanes away from us. We know, Lord, that if you lead us to it, you'll lead us through it. And we pray for your blessings. We ask this in the name of your Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. I have something to add in. Just to let you all know that Miss Cheryl Fontenot's mother, Emily Kernhan, passed away at 4 a.m. this morning, just 16 days before she would have made 90. She went peacefully. Funeral arrangements are in the process, and we should know something should be held on Friday. Once again, Lord, we ask for your prayers for Miss Emily and the prayers for all the Kernhan and the Fontenot family. We ask this in the name of your Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Roll call, Ms. Suzanne, all present. I don't have any chair additions, public comment sign-in period. Anybody wish to speak on any item on the agenda, sign in, you will be allotted 3 minutes. Next is our parish president report. President Martinez.
One thing, I just want everybody to kind of think back where we were last year at this time. It was the day after the hurricane. It was we blessed today with such beautiful weather, and that's something that we all want to look back on and reflect on, but forget soon. And as Randy said, I hope we don't get any hurricanes. We get a break this year. With that, I just want to call up Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Donald Songy, to give us a report on opening of school this year, and possibly how many new students that we have in the parish, and what's the predictions on the future growth, and whatever else he wants to talk about. Thank you. All right, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Bell, council members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening. And also, before I get started about the school system, I also appreciate the opportunity that you have given the school system to work with you in your master planning process. We have Mr. Chad Lynch, who is taking a very active role in that. It is going to be extremely beneficial to us to work with you to get your data, and we hope that we can, in like way, provide information to you so that we can work together, and the entire parish will benefit from that process. So I do appreciate the opportunity for us to be able to work with you. We had an extremely smooth opening of school this year. I met with our principals this morning. I told them that on the first day of school, I got to the school board office. I got there real early, expecting, as usual, for the phone to be ringing off the hook with people calling with problems and so forth. It didn't ring for the first time till 7:45. I started to call the phone company to see if the phones were not working because it just wasn't ringing. But it wasn't ringing because those principals, those teachers, those counselors, all the people out in the schools, it did such a good job in preparation that it was just as smooth as you could possibly imagine. And given that we had 3 brand new schools that we opened up this year, and all the logistics that went through in those moves, in addition to that, we put in an entire new software system for our student management system, which produces the student schedules and the class lists and all that, that all went almost without a hitch completely. So we were very, very pleased with the opening of the school, and I owe it all to the the people out in the schools, those administrators, those teachers. And like I told them, it doesn't happen, it happens because they spend, like that weekend before school starts, you'd drive by any school, you'd see the lights on, you'd see people working Saturday, Sunday till 9, 10, 12 o'clock at night getting that stuff done. So they did a very good job of that, and that's why we had such a smooth opening. Our enrollment increased again. That's kind of automatic when I talk about the opening of school. Well, looks like we're going to increase by about 400 students over last year, which will put us at just under 20,000 students. And I tell people, when I started teaching in 1972, we had 11 schools and about 12,000 students. Now we have 27 schools and 20,000 students. And judging by the population projections over the next 20 years, if Ascension Parish doubles in population, we will probably be doubling the number of schools we have, so that we will build at least, on the average, a school a year for the next 20 years. Wow. And we're planning on that. We are doing a lot of things right now to plan for that growth. But we did open up 3 new schools this year, 2 last year. We'll open up 1 next year, and that will, for the time being, we can kind of catch our breath for just a second, but the growth will continue. We're almost positive, and we're planning for long-term building programs there. I'll talk about some medical things for a second. You hear all the reports about H1N1, the swine flu, and how it affects our schools. Our absentee rate this year has been a little bit higher than it normally is. We've got a lot more kids out than we typically do. Typically, we'll have about 3 or 4% absentee for the first couple of weeks of schools. It's been around 6, 7, 8% for the last week. We've been tracking that very closely. Some of that is flu. Now, the doctors don't call it, they don't test for swine flu anymore. They come in, they just assume it's swine flu. So, and we've had, as of yesterday afternoon late, we had 100 actual cases of reported, what we're going to just call flu-like symptoms, children that miss school because of that. We have our nurses contacting the parents of every child who missed that way. And of those 100, 40 have already returned back to school. The doctors are telling us that it's not a really serious flu, it's pretty mild as far as the symptoms are concerned, and the length of it is not so bad. So we're hopeful that maybe after this long weekend coming up, that it'll level off and it won't be that much of a factor. It is nowhere near a high enough infection rate where we would consider at this point closing any schools. 7% is kind of high, but it's not something that we can't deal with. So at this point, we have it fairly well. We're monitoring it very closely, and it doesn't look like it's going to be that serious. But we will continue to monitor because you never know. I mentioned that we had built 3 schools, and we're in the process of looking at long-term growth. The other thing we're looking at is, and we got this recommendation from an accreditation committee that came about 3 or 4 years ago to look at our entire school system, and we got system-wide accreditation. One thing they pointed out to us, they said, you may not realize it because you're so close to it, but do you realize the difference between your old facilities and your new facilities? And we're so close to it, sometimes we don't see that, but you all know the schools in your area. You've got some brand new schools. You got some that were built by Franklin Roosevelt's economic stimulus plan, which was the WPA. Dutchtown and Santa Maria Gonzales were built in the 1930s. Right now we have 9 schools built in the 21st century. We've got 9 schools that are over 50 years old. And when you look at that and you look on some of those campuses and you see the discrepancy between the new facilities and the old ones, we realized that something needed to be done with that. So our major thrust right now is not so much about the growth, because we've got to a point where we have that pretty much for the time being settled. But what we want to do now is look at those older facilities and get them up to speed. So we took about a year. We had some design experts, some architects, and other engineers, planners, to look at what could be done so that the children in a school like Carver or Prairieville or Old Dutchtown, Old Santa Maria, Galvez, that their facility would be comparable to ours. And 2 things in particular we looked at. One was restrooms. You know, I mean, there's not a whole lot good you can say about a 60-year-old restroom. You know, you can keep it as clean as you want, but it's still 60 years old. The other thing is electrical infrastructure. Because when those schools were built, you only needed 2 plugs in a classroom, one in the back, one in the front. You might plug in a movie projector or something like that. Now you've got 30 computers, you've got all the kind of peripherals going on. You need more infrastructure for electricity. And we were at the point with a couple of our schools where we almost couldn't buy any more computers because if you plug one more in, the lights would dim. They just didn't have that much of a infrastructure for that. So the other thing we're doing in addition to the restrooms is electrical upgrades in these older facilities. And of course, we're also going to spruce them up, facelift on them, make them look better. And we're going to try to eliminate some temporary classrooms, and I use that word temporary, I ought to put it in parentheses because, or quotation marks, because some of those temporary classrooms are 30, 40 years old. They're not temporary, they're just cheap and they're old. So that's another thing that we looked at doing. So we put this package together, we looked at a cost. Then when the cost came up for the entire parish, we looked again because we knew that cost was really high. We got it down to a $100 million project list affecting 20 schools, 20 campuses, 20 of our oldest schools, major renovations. I talked about Carver before. We looked at the cost for Carver, and it would cost as much to renovate Carver as it would to build a brand new school. So what we're going to do is build a brand new school, and we're just going to abandon that campus. Prairieville, Gonzales Primary, not quite as bad, but almost. We're going to have over there what we call extreme school makeover. It's just going to bring those things up to the 21st century. East Ascension, Santa Maria High, Galvez Middle, all of the campuses that are older, we're going to address them. Total of $100 million in the package. We work with our bonding attorney. We are able to generate bonds, $100 million worth of bonds, by simply extending the current millage that we now assess for bond service, which is 15.08 mils, and extend that out 4 years from where it ends right now. And by doing that, we will be able to generate that $100 million in funds. That bond issue election is going to take place on October 17th. We are trying to get the word out to people. We're going to have meetings at each of the 4 high schools for those feeder systems, Dutchtown, Gonzales, Santa Maria, and Donaldsonville. And we will also have present to whichever groups will have us. We're going to just try to get information out, because I think if people understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and all the particulars of it, we hope that they will be supportive of this bond issue. But again, it is October 17th, and the millage will be an extension rather than an increase. $100 million in projects total, affecting 20 campuses, and basically we're looking at the oldest facilities, trying to get them up to speed. So we're getting information out. If you all have any questions right now, or anything you'd like to ask or whatever about it, I'd be happy to entertain any questions of you.
Councilman Clark?
Yeah, Donald, that project, successful with the bond election, extension, what's the duration that you figured it'll take? Has there been any?
Yeah, oh yeah, we've got it labeled. It's going to be a total of a 5-year construction program. We're going to have some that will start in the first year, some second, some third, some fourth. And we do that for 2 reasons. One is that you can't sell all the bonds at once. You've got to spread that out, the financing out. And just to manage that many projects is a load. We've got a tremendous Department of Planning and Construction. Chad Lynch and his group, they've done a great job with these schools that they've built, but they can only handle so much work at any one time. So we're going to spread those out over a 5-year period, and we'll have them complete by 2014.
That's great. That's still a good schedule.
Yeah,
By
that's
all means.
about as good as we can do without
yeah.
without kicking up the costs any.
Anybody else? Donald, I'd like to offer congratulations to y'all on your opening. I'll get you, Dempsey, on the opening of the system. let your staff, your teachers, everybody know. I mean, that was just great. Sometimes, I mean, I've told you, you've been with me at meetings that we talked that y'all were part of our problem with infrastructure. The dead-gum teachers are too good. You need to throttle them back.
Yeah.
We're the best of the best in the state, and that's
Yeah.
the reason that people are moving in.
Yeah.
Congratulate to y'all, and good luck on the 17th.
Thank
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Donald, on the schools that you're going to renovate, you're going to have more or less the same plan that you have for your new ones now as far as the layouts?
Well, what we did for the 6 primary schools, we have the exact same plan for those. Now, when we redo Carver, we will probably use that same plan. Gonzales Primary, we won't, because it's just going to be one building in the midst of a couple others that we're going to keep. Prairieville being a middle school, it's going to have a different design. But probably, if we can get enough property, that design works on about 12 to 15 acres. And that's one of the things in our 20-year plan is that, we need to find property. We need to buy property now, even though we don't have school. And the school board this year budgeted $5 million simply for property acquisition for schools that have not yet been determined, just to go where we think the growth is going to be, which is one reason we're grateful to work with the master planning group to have an idea of where to put, buy land and put schools. But if we can't get that big a piece, then we have to, if the footprint is smaller, then we may go up of 2 stories, maybe 3 stories to do that, because land is the critical factor in this. For a 20-year, 20-school program, land is just a concern for us. So we're in the process of looking for land, and to the extent that we can follow that model, we'll do that. If we can't, we'll find another model and we'll follow that. But we saved a lot of money, and we did a good thing, I think, by not changing the design every time we built a new school. We kept that same design all the way on through.
I'd like to congratulate you and the staff on that, because from the police and the fire departments, I think the layout you have now is really working well. They feel comfortable, and good job.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, Superintendent Sanjay.
Yeah, thank you for the
sir.
opportunity.
President Martinez, you have anything else? All right, sir. Next, we have our consent agenda. I'll need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Our next item, item 8, Strategic Planning Committee, Chairman Kent Shakesnyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First one is a resolution to authorize application of a community development block grant plan, and Mr. Grant can present that.
Members of the council, you have in your packet a copy of the draft plan for the Community Development Block Grant Funds from Hurricane Gustav recovery. And the amount of funds, the $19,380,000. We have gone through a consensus building process, both with the municipalities and public hearings. We have now had 3 public hearings. We've also had it heard at strategic planning. We believe we have a good plan. We certainly got a lot of comments on it. We received over 130 public comments on this plan. We believe it reflects the priorities of the parish. The high points of the plan include a $5 million investment in our sewer program. It includes the acquisition and hardening of Lamar Dixon. It includes the assisting the city of Gonzales in building its police station. It helps the city of Sorrento do its sewer program. It helps the city of Downsonville do sewer and some public improvements to Lemon Center and the Public Works building. It allows for us to do our West Bank drainage study that is desperately needed to seek funding in drainage. We believe it's a comprehensive plan. We've also included a housing element for potential housing repair program throughout the parish. This is all new ground for Ascension Parish. And when you enter the world of community development block grant, it's extremely regulatory in nature and stringent in regulation. But I believe we have a good consensus that we've reached in the community. I believe we have a plan that we can get approved by the Recovery Authority. They do their reviews every 2 weeks. We are prepared to send this plan forward. And if we are successful in getting past that review, the funds would be available in the final quarter of this year. And we have about 3 years to spend them. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions? Cedric, thanks for all your efforts and your work. I know it's been a long haul getting this together, and we appreciate you.
Well, I'd really like to publicly thank the planning staff and grant staff that really came together and learned a whole lot in a short time on an extensive program. And the LRA, which has been at our side from the beginning, Paul Rainwater and the staff, Sandra Gunner's here today, they have helped us through this process a great deal. We actually probably had one of the first approvals in the process statewide as we went to seeing if our projects were eligible.
Pretty good teamwork, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions for Cedric? Or? Thank you, Mr. Grant. I'll need a motion. The resolution, please. Motion by Councilman Shakespeare, second by Councilman Randy Clouard. Any discussion? Any objection? Resolution passes. Thank you, sir. Chairman Shakespeare, item B.
Next thing is a presentation of electronic work order system. Brandon O'Day, our technology department, is going to make that presentation there about what we're doing now.
Good evening, Council. We started this project of installing a parish-wide electronic work order system back in March with the following goals: to work with the cartograph consultants to install cartograph 8 within DPW, drainage, recreation, and fleet, to review internal workflow procedures within each of these offices, providing recommended changes if necessary, to define the process for capturing key reporting components, which are the labor, which is the actual man-hours that go into doing these work orders, the equipment usage using FEMA hourly rates, and material that is used on a particular work order. Also, to provide on-site training for all personnel involved in using this system, to acquire mobile devices to be used out in the field, and with a project completion goal of August 2009. And at this point, we are 99% done with this project. The one remaining item is the acquisition of mobile devices, and we're working to get those in-house now. I'd like to just briefly recognize VJ. VJ is our database administrator in the technology office. He was given the task of being the project coordinator for this project, and he spent many a weekends making sure that the system was going to work the way we wanted it to, that it was going to give us accurate information. So thank you, VJ.
Good job.
On the reporting side of this, I believe you have in your packet the same report that I handed out to the Strategic Planning Committee last Monday. That report shows detailed work that was done in the parish from August 1 through August 24th. That's the type of report that we can generate with this system. That's just a sample of the work that was actually done. There's some other work that involves like annual work orders such as grass cutting that goes through all parishes. You're not going to see that in the report, but pretty much anything that you guys would want to see out of the system we can report on. As far as the reporting, do y'all have any questions on the report that you see in front of you?
Any questions?
Councilman Lower.
Will we be able to post this online or when we get the SharePoint site set up so we can kind of drill down on it
Sure,
and see the details?
Absolutely. We can export the reports in a Adobe PDF format and post them right there if that's what y'all want.
Great. I just want to say thanks as well. I mean, I appreciate any efforts. I know this is just one of the many efforts you guys are working on to make the parish more technology savvy and more transparent and efficient and everything. So I appreciate it.
Sure.
President Martinez.
I want to thank the staff also, and I think this is going to eliminate a lot of the problems of the past. We can actually generate a work order and what's being done in each of your districts, where it's being done, who's doing it, who to charge it to. And I know in the past there's been a lot of confusion over drainage, public works and this. I think this will alleviate that, and you can actually get it online and look at what's being done in your district and see the work orders and see what the progress is. And I just think it's wonderful. I know we're going to probably have a few hiccups at the beginning, but I think once, by the end of the year, I think this thing's going to be just something that's going to be great for the parish overall and be a cost-saving device. So, but I want to thank the whole technology department for a great job.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm going to pass around, I'm going to give this to Ms. Suzanne and ask her to pass it around to each of y'all. This is just the interface of what the system looks like when our end users input the data.
Okay.
And this particular work order that you're going to see is what our office called the work order of the month, and I think whenever you see it, you'll understand why we called it that. But if you have any questions about any of it, feel free to let me know.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Cluart.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the administration and also your department, but basically, this is technological advancement for the parish administration, for the working departments, and it's going to help all the department heads out. But the main goal is, this is a great example of one government working together for the people and to serve the parish.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
And one additional note on that, we installed this for the 4 offices that I mentioned, DPW, Drainage, Recreation, and Fleet. We have plans in the coming years to expand this into a few other departments, such as Animal Control, Mosquito Control, Utilities. So I think in the next couple of years, you'll be able to see a broad picture of how much it costs to do work in the parish.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
VJ, thank you. Good job. Next, we'll move to number 9, consultant selection. CAO, Mr. Cedric Grant.
Yes, gentlemen, I have before you a consultant selection for debris removal monitoring. The committee met on July 23rd, 2009, and reviewed the proposals for monitoring. They recommend the number 1 firm to use, CDM, as a consultant for debris monitoring. The way this will work.
Second.
Who was the motion? I'm sorry. Councilman
Thompson.
Thompson made the motion, second by Councilman Chris Lohr. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Next, there is a resolution authorizing the parish president to amend the SMG contract. What we are going to do for the rest of the year here is 30-day extensions. The hope is to transition out of this contract, and I'm beginning the process of that by putting 30-day extensions on it and gradually downsizing the staff and transitioning to
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Resolution passes.
Number 11 is we're requesting that you author resolution requesting the Chaffalaya Basin Levee Board to cut and manage the grass and other vegetation along the Mississippi River levee in the Modes area.
Motion by Councilman Thompson. Second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any objection? Resolution passes.
Number 12 is, in your packet is a copy of a draft contract, and we're asking that you authorize the parish president to enter the legal services contract for special counsel related to certain legal matters.
A motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Resolution passes. Next, we move into our, thank you, Mr. Grant. We move into planning and zoning recommendations. Planning Director Ricky Compton. Item 13, please.
Zoning Review ID 2023.09.
Ricky, excuse me. Before you start, I have a speaker, Mr. Lee Picard, please.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lee Pickard. I represent Lamarck Incorporated. We're the owner of the property in question that's located on Cornerview Road. This property originally was zoned medium-density residential and was previously used as a mobile home park back in the 60s. And in the 70s, when I-10 was built, it basically cut the property in two, leaving a landlocked piece of property on the east side of I-10, on the west side of I-10, a long, narrow, triangular piece with 190 feet of frontage on Cornerview, and a 600-foot, roughly, boundary on the east side adjacent to Interstate 10. The west boundary is adjacent to an industrial coatings manufacturer or plant. We requested the zoning be changed to mixed use for the purpose of building an office warehouse, approximately 6,000 square feet, with roughly 12 parking places for a industrial contracting company would service some of the surrounding plants. I was out of town when the planning and zoning meeting took place. My partner was there, and I was a little confused as to the reasoning behind the denial or recommendation for denial, inasmuch as I sat down with Lance Brock and zoning, and we talked about it. We filled out the application, gave him all the information, asked if he needed anything else. There was some question as to one of the council member asking, the planning and zoning members asking about the map and the fact that it was a reference map, but wasn't a stamped engineered drawing. Aside from that, basically the reason given was that it was not, this particular piece of property was not discussed in a workshop. So for that reason, they were recommending denial of the project. And I guess my question is that if a piece of property was overlooked or was not considered in a workshop, does that mean that it's incapable or not worthy of being considered for rezoning, despite the fact that the zoning may be 30 or 40 years old and the surroundings around that piece of property may not be conducive to its original zoning? So my point is tonight is just to have you all consider this. I know that typically the council goes along with the recommendation, but I think in this case there's some question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Ricky.
Zoning review ID 2023.09, Lamarck Incorporated, located on the north side of Cornerview Road, approximately 100 feet west of Kling Road, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to mixed use. Zoning Commission recommended denial of this zoning amendment for review only.
For review only. All right, sir.
Next item.
14, yes, sir.
Acceptance of a private road, Zeola Lane, from Burt Allen Road to end into the parish maintenance system. Planning Commission recommended denial of the acceptance of this road into the parish maintenance system.
Motion to deny.
Motion to deny, Councilman Chris Lower, second by Councilman George Valentine. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. We'll move into our introduction of ordinance section. What's your name? Item 15, to amend Chapter 22 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances to add articles and sections implementing provisions for a program of traffic enforcement by the use of photographic evidence and the imposition of civil penalties. A motion by Councilman Thompson. And a second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Ordinance is introduced. Item 16, introduction of ordinance to revoke a 30-foot servitude of access along the eastern sideline of Lot 113 from Kenner Drive to the rear of Lot 113 of 12 Oaks subdivision, fourth filing, Part 1.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman George Valentine.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is introduced. You ready, Ms. Manda?
Sure.
Okay. Item 17, reading of an ordinance.
An ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2009 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension, adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 20th day of November 2008. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2009 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, general fund, expenditures, coroner, medical and dental services, see attached, $4,000. Recreation fund, revenues, registration fees, flag football, $10,100. Expenditures, salary officials, $2,400. FICA tax expense, $190. Fire, casualty, and general liability, $1,200. Workman's compensation insurance, $150. Miscellaneous expense, $700. Flag football program, $5,400.
I need a motion to open public hearing, please. Moved by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Kluart. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, come forward and sign in with Ms. Suzanne. You'll be allowed 3 minutes.
Move to close, Gary.
Motion to close by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. I need a motion to approve the ordinance, please. Motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Randy Kluart. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. 20.
Purpose, to authorize the lease of one tract of land currently owned by the Parish of Ascension to Capital City Family Health Center. Said tract of land has been declared surplus property pursuant to the Louisiana Revised Statutes 334711 et sec and 411213 et sec, and advertised for lease in accordance with state law. Whereas the Parish of Ascension owns the property more fully described in the attached lease agreement attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A, and whereas the Ascension Parish has declared said property as surplus and advertised the property for lease according to state law, and whereas the only responsive and responsible bid was from Capital City Family Health Center for $100 a month, therefore be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council authorizes the office of the parish president to lease said property in accordance with the terms of the lease agreement attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A.
Need a motion to open public hearing, please. Motion by Councilman Randy Kluart, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. I do have one speaker. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item, please come forward, sign in with Ms. Suzanne. Mr. Carey.
Good afternoon, councilmen and rest of you. It's good to be back on the councilman again. Excuse me, I'm kind of under the weather, so I won't be too long tonight. I got one question to ask the councilmen. Where will this building be located at in Downsonville? Councilman Joseph, can you help me out here with this one? I believe this is backed by the Prevost Memorial Hospital, correct?
No, Mr. Williams, this property here is located off of Highway 1 North, and that's where the health unit, across the street from the health unit in the city of Downsville, Fort Barrow area.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Councilman Joseph, could I also, any more questions? I appreciate you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Need a motion to close public hearing? Motion to close by
Second.
Councilman Joe, second by Councilman Shakespeare. I need a motion to approve the ordinance, please. Moved by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. 23.
Whereas the Parish of Ascension, through the Department of Public Works, has engaged in a road project entitled Roddy Road Final Phase Road Program, and whereas in order to successfully complete the project, the parish must purchase right-of-way in accordance with Section 6.01 of the Code of Ordinances and the Charter of Ascension Parish, and whereas the parish has identified certain property as necessary for the continuation of the project and desires to purchase said property, all in accordance with state and local law. Be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Council authorizes the purchase of the Dunbar property in accordance with the terms of the active sale document attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. Further, the Ascension Parish Council authorizes payment of compensation and severance damage to the remainder of the property for a total payment of $90,500. Be it further ordained that the purchase of the property is subject to approval by the parish attorney and contingent upon the sellers being able to deliver a good and merchantable title, and that Tommy Martinez, parish president, is authorized to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the parish.
Got a motion by Councilman Lambert, Dempsey Lambert, to open public hearing. Second by Councilman Oliver Joseph. Anyone wish to speak on this matter, come forward, sign in, please. You'll be allowed 3 minutes. Motion to close by Councilman Oliver Joseph. Second by Councilman Benny Johnson. I'll need a motion to approve the ordinance, please. Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson. Second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Councilman Valentine.
Yeah, this was, we talked about this last meeting. Parish President, that you was in the middle of a conversation when we ceased it last time. The gentleman from SJB who was here was discussing that. I'd like to kind of clarify some more information on this if we could.
Yes, Mr. Rabelais. Okay.
The property in question is a house that actually is on the corner of the subdivision, but it also borders Roddy Road, and it actually has access on the Roddy Road, that driveway.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty. The road itself, how close is the road at the present time, and then after the expansion is done on Roddy Road, how close is it going to be? In other words, how much closer will the road be to the house than it is right at the present time?
The roadway will move approximately 2 foot. It varies in certain spots, and then there'll also be a shoulder added for safety, and then utilities will push back closer to the house, and the right-of-way will be within 2 foot of the house.
And in order to do that, we're going to acquire, is it 1,300 square feet, 1,300? 1,300?
No, sir, we're acquiring 4,789 square feet.
For $18,875.
That's for the land.
And then we're going to pay damages of $71,000.
Yes, sir. The appraiser.
And that was determined how?
That was done by a licensed, certified real estate appraiser.
We had one
Yes.
appraiser, which is all we require, Parish President?
Yes.
Is that all we require, somebody like SJB to do that? Just one?
I don't know. I can answer you that question.
You don't know? Okay. Who's that? Ms. Manda, do you know if all we require is one public?
Unless we expropriate, in which case, depending on the value, we would require, that's what would require us to have to.
Okay, I mean, my fear, and I think Parish President said that, headed that way the other day, was the fact that, it's an enormous amount of money we're paying for a road that's only going to move 24 inches closer to a house. I visited the property and looked at it. In fact, I did that this afternoon. And I understand the problem, but, even at Mr. Thompson's road in his district, we had a graveyard that came in the problem. We managed to get through the graveyard without disturbing it.
They're a lot quieter.
I understand that. But the point is, it just seems to be a large sum of money that we're going to pay, and essentially, as I understand, the residents will remain in the house.
What he's indicated to me is that when he initially contacted me, he wanted to be bought out and be relocated. Then we talked to him quite a bit. He's now considering, at some point in the future, converting it to a rent house and relocating his family to another area. But we don't have a vehicle under which we can take the home or get the entire property unless it's amicable. We have several that will be coming up probably at your next meeting where we're hitting the houses, and we will be acquiring the entirety of the tracts. Some of them just depends on what's left once we take what's there. And please keep in mind that the width of these right-of-ways that are taken is not set by SJB.
understand
it's all set by safety standards and other issues.
But you are hired by
Yes,
Ascension
sir.
Parish to negotiate these things.
Yes, sir.
And I expect you to be a tough negotiator, because as it is, we seem to be, we're starting to set precedents. We've already acquired one piece of property further up on Roddy Road, and we're going to continue to probably have to take more, and it's just bad to start setting precedents, because people are, they have the internet and they have everything else. They know what they get for their property. And unfortunately, Parish President, this has been what, since 2000 we've been doing this project? I mean, it's a 9-year-old project. We almost no closer than we were, and we're still buying right away. And it seems an absorbent amount. And I don't blame the people for getting as much as they can, but then again, I want due diligence on our side to make sure that we do exactly what we're supposed to do. It just seems to be an awful lot of money, $71,000 for damage.
Yes, sir, I understand. The gentleman who did the appraisal has done several hundred of these. I've worked with him off and on different projects for 25 years. He looked at sales, comparable sales. Please keep in mind, you're in one of the hottest real estate sections in the state of Louisiana. That's what's driving some of these numbers. People are moving into your area, and we base this off of comparable sales of other properties. As far as the proximity issue, the parish bought a couple of houses a couple of years ago, I think in 2003, and they were just sold at auction, and there was a diminution in value between 25 and 40% on those. And that's if you don't take into account that those houses would have moved up from 2003 to today, where you've had a pretty rapid expansion of home prices. I feel confident that the appraiser that worked on this took all that into consideration, and I think that what we have is a fair offer. I don't think that Mr. Dunbar is being unjustly enriched in any way, and I think that what has been set forth is what the law prescribes.
Well, typically, if you got trees and what have you, I did see a few shrubs, but, primarily the property is, it's a ditch in a front yard, and damages are based on naturally what you assume that you will lose from enjoyment of that property or in value of the property.
Well, and also
Right.
and it's also in what the market perception is. In this particular case, we're taking probably 25 to 30% of this. And what we have to look at is, what will someone come along, if Mr. Dunbar chooses to sell this property in 2 or 3 years, what would someone pay for him having it smaller? We don't think as we sit here today, we feel his house is, I believe, $175,000, maybe $180,000. We believe that if he puts that on the market later, that he'll get probably $85,000 to $90,000. When you combine that with what we've given him, he'll be made whole to what his numbers are today. But it's also, we're charged with, our appraiser, with trying to estimate what people will do in the future, and some of it is a little bit speculative from the standpoint that all we do, like I said, we can look at the houses on Shealy. Here's 2 houses where if you go out there today, there's right-of-way lines out there. Those were bought, as my understanding is, they were bought because of proximity issues, and the parish took ownership of those in '03. And now, if you don't include anything for inflation, if that appraiser wasn't right, why wouldn't those have not sold for more than what you bought them for? There is a diminution, and it is a very specialized type of appraisal.
I understand. That's all, Chair.
Okay, so Councilman Cluart.
Yeah, I got a quick question.
Sure.
It's basically, you're basically charged with the duty of working for the parish, is just trying to get us the best deal possible, and also we're fooling with the public.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We try to be fair to both sides, and what Phil was saying, when you get both sides and neither one's happy, you're probably getting pretty close to the right number.
So right now, you got a $180,000 piece of land or whatever, and we can get done what we need to get done for half of that.
Yes, sir.
And, I feel a little speculative too, is just a personal look at it. Sometimes, okay, well, he's going to devalue and don't really want to live there because he's got servitude up to 2 foot in front of his door, thinking about moving, but he's going to rent it out.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dunbar actually had, he expressed concern over safety because in the past he had a vehicle flip and end up in the yard where we're talking about acquiring. Yeah. So safety is a big issue when we start looking at proximity. Proximity damages are probably those issues that we struggle with more than anything else. There's a lot of different factors that go into what we do with those, and I might not be as comfortable with this had it not been for the appraiser that we have that has as much experience as he does in these.
So basically, you went out and you got the best deal that you feel like we can get?
Yes,
And
sir.
that's been reviewed by an independent appraiser?
Yes, sir.
And you've looked at it within your organization?
Yes, sir.
I know y'all work together, you don't just take anything that comes in there, so.
No, sir. There's, we've been, we run into people that aren't happy sometimes with what we do. I met with some people yesterday, and, you know, I think they're going to end up selling to the parish for what's done, but they weren't exactly turning backflips. A lot of people today just don't want to sell real estate, whether you give them enough money or not enough money. They're trying to hang on to it.
I personally know that we got projects in my district that we're not looking for take somebody's front yard, we're looking for taking some of their backyard, but
Yes,
it's
sir.
still precious to them.
Yes, sir.
And whether it goes underwater or whatever, it's still there, they love it. So
Yes, sir.
just feel like you've done the best job you can do for the parish to keep the dollar value down. But we got to expand, and we will be faced at buying land in the future.
Yes, sir, and as I
And it's
said,
gonna-
keep in
it's-
mind, you're,
I just want to ask a quick question,
Yes.
is just, we've been reviewing this ever since I've been on the council on these roads, widening road, everything, it's all about land, buying right-of-way. Everybody wants a safe road, everybody wants a wider road. So people on the road end up giving up the land. These land acquisitions within any project, whether it be a drainage project or road project, that's just a major cost of that acquisition or that project.
yes, sir, and keep in mind, what we do is we go out and look at properties that have recently sold in this area, and you're in an extremely hot environment for land. You're in one of the hottest real estate markets in the state of Louisiana, and if we're in the process now of looking for comparable housing to relocate some people on Roddy Road, and we're having to go out and do the same thing as new families that are moving into Ascension are doing. We're having to go out there and shop and find something that meets these people's needs, and the numbers are difficult. It's a lot of money to buy right away. It's not inexpensive in any way.
Whose district is this in? That's yours, Benny? Go ahead.
Councilman Johnson.
Do we have an idea as far as if we were to buy the whole property out, what it would cost us? I know relocation and everything else. Do we have an idea what that expenditure would be?
It would cost you probably, if we bought the house, I believe the appraised value is $175. Then keep in mind, he gets relocation, you have moving cost. And for instance, if he has a 2,000 square foot house, because his house is valued at $180, if we cannot find something comparable that meets all of his needs, if it runs over the $180, we have to pay that differential. It doesn't stop at market value once we get into relocation.
So basically, you're looking at an estimated $200,000?
I would say that above what we're offering now, you would probably spend between $100,000 and $125,000.
In addition to what
In addition to what's on the table now.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Mr. Dunbar has expressed that if y'all, in my conversations, you know, he's been fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Martinez.
Just, you know, we grew in, our property used to be worth $300 an acre, now it's worth $50,000 an acre. Houses, everything's gone up. In meeting with the secretary of DOTD and talking to people at DOTD, basically, they've taken the attitude now of we're not, you know, we don't have the money anymore to do capacity projects, to add any capacity to our highways. They're just going to actually maintain what they have. Fortunately and unfortunately, they do have four-lane highways. We don't have any four-lane highways in Ascension Parish. It's unfortunate that we have to pay, because what's basically going to happen is you're going to end up paying more for right-of-way than it does to actually construct the road. And that's kind of the way things are going. And if you go in there, and we go 2 feet close to Mr. Valentine, and I do know some things from working with DOTD, if this person feels like he's been put out, or his property's been devalued, he can turn around and file inverse condemnation suit, which says you have inversely affected me. And most of the time, with looking back at relationships, we lose, okay, as parish government or state government. And the inequity, whatever you want to call it, in this whole system is that we have to go out and appraise these houses, but yet if we acquire them and sell them, we got to sell them to the lowest bidder, okay? In most cases. It's like the houses he was mentioning on Shirley. We didn't do anything there. We didn't widen the road. We didn't do anything. We paid $150,000 for the houses, basically. We sold one for $63,000. We sold one for $83,000 because that's who bid on it. We did put a limit as the lowest bid we would accept was $60,000. But again, now I pass there every day. Now one of the houses for sale is probably for $160,000, $170,000. But that's where the disparity is, I feel like, in the whole system. But again, we as a group have to really look at what we want to do in the future. I mean, we may not want to widen anymore. We might want to put culverts and ditches, maybe end up being the cheapest way to do it, unfortunately. But if we keep growing, we're going to have some four-lane highways. And property's not going down. It's continually either staying steady or going up. So again, I agree with a lot that was said here tonight, but the way the system works, if we're going to add capacity to our roads, we're going to have to pay. So.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? I need a motion to close public hearing, please. Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluart.
Mr. Chair, we was already in the ordinance. You had already asked for that. We went into discussion.
Okay.
for the ordinance.
All right.
All you need to do is call for a vote on ordinance.
All right, very sorry. It lasted long enough. I didn't know.
Lost track, brother.
You're right. All right, I'll need a motion to approve the ordinance, please.
Motion.
Councilman Randy Shakespeare has the motion. Councilman Benny Johnson, second. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. Okay, where are we at here? Let's see. Number 26, Ms. Lindsay.
Whereas the William Harold Dixon and Mary Lee Dixon, hereinafter referred to as grantors, have agreed to enter into a servitude agreement with the Parish of Ascension, and whereas the servitude agreement with grantors is in the best interest of the parish, and whereas a copy of the proposed servitude agreement, which includes an accurate legal description of the property, is attached as Exhibit A, the Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it authorizes the parish president to enter into said servitude agreement on behalf of the parish with grantors for a portion of land located in Section 21, Township 10 South, Range 3 East, City of Gonzales, Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana. That pursuant to all applicable provisions of law, the office of the parish president is directed and authorized to do whatever is necessary to accept and enter into this servitude agreement for the property described herein.
A motion to open public hearing, please. Motion by Councilman Lower, second by Councilman Dennis Cullen. Anyone wish to speak on this item, come forward, please. Sign Ms. Suzanne, you'll be allowed 3 minutes.
Motion closed.
Motion to close by Councilman Randy Cluart, second by Councilman Chris Lower. I'll need a motion to approve the ordinance. Matter of motion by Councilman Lower, second by Councilman Thompson. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. Ms. Lindsay? Oh, number 29, please.
I'll be reading this one for Lindsay. Purpose to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Whereas the Parish of Ascension has in full force and effort a code of ordinances, whereas the governing authority hereby wishes to provide for the regulation of junk or abandoned vehicles and white goods located on private property, whereas this regulation will pose a benefit to the life, health, and safety of the residents of Ascension Parish. Now therefore be it ordained that the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances is amended to read as follows. 11-110, Findings and Declarations. In addition to and in accordance with the determination made and authority granted to remove abandoned, inoperative, dismantled, junked, or wrecked vehicles as public nuisances from public property, the Ascension Parish Council makes the following findings and declarations. The unregulated accumulation and storage of abandoned, inoperative, dismantled, junked, or wrecked vehicles and white goods on private property may create a condition tending to reduce the value of surrounding property, promote blight and deterioration, invite plundering, create fire hazards, constitute an attractive nuisance, creating a hazard to the health, safety, and general welfare. Therefore, the presence of abandoned or inoperative vehicles and white goods on private property, except as expressly hereafter permitted, is declared to constitute a public nuisance, which may be abated as such in accordance with provisions of this part. 11-111 definitions. As used in this part, abandoned, inoperative vehicle means any vehicle which is incapable of being lawfully moved upon the highways and streets under its own power, and included but is not limited to junked, wrecked, or dismantled vehicles. Lack of current and/or valid registration, inspection sticker or license plate alone does not constitute abandoned, inoperative condition. Vehicles which are otherwise in compliance with Louisiana Revised Statute 32-1301-32, 1310, are not considered to be abandoned, inoperative vehicles for purposes of this chapter. Antique or special interest vehicles means any operable motor vehicle 25 years or older. Enforcing agencies means the Ascension Parish Sheriff or the Parish Code Enforcement Office, as well as their duly authorized agents. Junked or wrecked vehicle means any vehicle which is totally inoperable and is so damaged or dismantled as to be a total loss. The term total loss shall mean that the cost to repair a damaged or dismantled vehicle exceeds the value of such vehicle as determined by any recognized national appraisal book. Owner of the premises means the owner of the land on which the vehicle or white good is located, as shown on the last equalized assessment roll. Owner of the vehicle means the last registered owner. Vehicle should mean every device by which persons or things may be transported upon a public highway or bridge, except devices moved by human power or used exclusively upon stationary rails or tracks, and include a motor vehicle which is commonly referred to as a car. Any passenger vehicle, truck, tractor, tractor-trailer, truck-trailer, motorhome, motorcycle, trailer, or semi-trailer, propelled or drawn by mechanical power. A trailer or semi-trailer shall be a separate vehicle. White goods shall mean a large machine which accomplishes some routine housekeeping task, which includes purposes such as cooking, food preservation, or cleaning, whether in a household, institutional, commercial, or industrial setting. White goods shall include but not be limited to the following appliances: refrigerator, stove, washer, dryer, dishwasher, and water heater. 11-112 exceptions. This part shall not apply to a vehicle or white good which is completely enclosed within a building, garage, or under a carport, or is otherwise covered in place at the rear of a residence or other primary structure that is located on the property in such a manner that the vehicle or white good is not otherwise visible from the street or other public or private property. Any motor vehicle or white good in an appropriate storage place or depository maintained at a location where such business is authorized under the comprehensive zoning ordinance and other regulatory ordinances of the parish. Any antique or special interest vehicle retained by the owner for collection purposes as defined herein, rather than for salvage or for transportation. 11-113, right to enter upon private property. The enforcing agency or its duly authorized agent shall be authorized to enter upon private property or public property to investigate a vehicle or white good or parts thereof, alleged to be a nuisance pursuant to this chapter. 11-114, notice to owner or occupant to abate public nuisance or on occupied or unoccupied premises. Whenever any public nuisance as provided for herein exists on occupied or unoccupied premises within the parish in violation of section 11-110, the enforcing agency shall order the owner of the vehicle or the owner or the occupant of the premises whereon such public nuisance exists to abate or remove the same. Such order shall be in writing, specify the public nuisance and its locations, specify the corrective measures required and enforcement measures that may be taken, provide for compliance within 15 days from the service thereof, and provide for an opportunity for a pre-enforcement hearing before the parish director of planning by written request received by enforcing agency within 10 days of receipt of notice. The order shall be served upon the owner or occupant of the premises by serving him personally or by sending the order by certified mail. Return receipt requested to the address of the premises or of the owner if different from the premises of the vehicle or white good. Within the 15-day period after service of notice, the owner or occupant of the premises or the owner of the vehicle or white good shall abate the nuisance by removing the nuisance from the premises or enclosing the vehicle or white good as provided in section 11-112A. It shall be the responsibility of the owner or occupant of the property or owner of the vehicle or white goods to notify the enforcing agency as soon as the vehicle or white good has been removed or enclosed. Upon notification, the enforcing agency will set up an appointment in order to verify that compliance has taken place. If owner or occupant of the premises or the owner of the vehicle or white good fails to abate the nuisance within the 15-day period of notification and fails to timely request a hearing, the enforcing agency may issue a misdemeanor summons to the owner or occupant of the premises, or may seek to have the vehicle removed from the premises by means of injunctive relief and imposition of civil penalties. 11-115. Notice presumed from refused certified mail. For purposes of this chapter, when the owner of the premises or owner of the vehicle has been served notice by certified mail as set forth in section 11-114, and such certified mail is refused, the owner is deemed to have received notice in accordance with the provisions of this chapter, and the 15-day period commences to run on the date of refusal. 11-116. Failure to refuse to comply. The failure or refusal to comply with the provisions of this chapter shall constitute a misdemeanor, and the violator shall be subject to the issuance of a misdemeanor summons. The penalty shall be a fine up to $500 or 6 months imprisonment, or both, for each violation. In lieu of the issuance of a misdemeanor summons, or in addition thereto, the failure or refusal to comply with the provisions of this chapter may be enforced by imposition of civil penalties and injunctive relief. Each day that the nuisance remains following expiration of the time to apply for a hearing set forth in section 11-114A, 5, shall constitute a separate offense, and a civil penalty of $50 per day shall be imposed. 11-117. Removal from occupied premises when owner's whereabouts are unknown or notice is returned unclaimed. When there is an abandoned, inoperative, junked, or wrecked vehicle or white good on premises that are occupied and identified, or whereabouts of the owner of the premises is unknown or unascertainable after a diligent search has been made, or is notice sent to the last record owner of the property by certified mail has been returned as unclaimed, the enforcing agency shall place an advertisement in the official journal of the Ascension Parish for the whereabouts of the owner on 2 occasions within a period of 30 days. If no response is forthcoming after the 30-day period, then the enforcing agency may take possession of the vehicle or remove it from the premises in accordance with the provisions of the Louisiana Revised Statute 32-471. The enforcing agency may thereafter dispose of the vehicle in the same manner as provided in Louisiana Revised Statute 32-471. 11-118. Removal of vehicles, white goods from private property. Private property owners, whether commercial or residential, have the power, as authorized by general law, to cause vehicles or white goods to be removed from their property illegally situated thereon. In any case where an owner requests any law enforcement agency having jurisdiction to cause to be removed from his property a vehicle or white goods said by the property owner to be illegally situated on his property, and has filed with such law enforcement agency an acceptable indemnification agreement, such law enforcement agency shall be authorized and empowered to cause the vehicle or white good to be removed by wrecker or other disposal service in accordance with established policies and procedures for obtaining of wrecker or other disposable services by law enforcement agencies in the parish.
Move to open the public hearing.
Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson to open public hearing. Second by Councilman Randy Cluart. Anyone wish to speak on this item, please come forward. You'll be allotted 3 minutes.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman Oliver Joseph. I'll need a motion to approve the ordinance, please.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Dennis Cullen, second by Councilman Chris Lower. Any discussion? Any discussion? Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, administration, I guess, code enforcement officer. You know, we pass an ordinance right here. We don't have a code enforcement officer in place right now, right? He is a code enforcement officer. Okay. Because I know we have several ordinances on the book now that we're not enforcing, and I just want to make sure we got somebody in place, because this is going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Chair.
Councilman Kent Chase Snyder.
One question, Cedric. All of the things about the ordinance point towards within a month time frame. If there's a question by the homeowner and he wants to appeal, does it? I don't see the provision where it goes to the parish court for an appeal. it'd be about administrative policy and be allowed them to go, because I know we were going to do that on a quarterly basis. Okay, and that would be, okay. That was my question. That's fine.
President Martinez?
Got one question. If we go and we pick up this vehicle and we're going to take it to where? Where are we going to store all these vehicles if we?
That's a question.
I mean, I don't see that in this ordinance. I mean, we can follow whatever procedure.
I think within the state laws,
Yeah.
and I could be wrong, but within the state laws is that you have a certified agent that's on call that you call to pick that up, and it goes to their certified yard, and it's disposed of in a timely manner where they actually become the owners of that vehicle to do what they
Well,
want.
that may be so, but I mean, we need to kind of look at how we're going to pick where they're going and, maybe look at some,
Excuse me.
I don't know if that's been predetermined, but I'm sorry.
I can
just-
answer.
But I'd rather ask this question now before.
Yeah.
Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yeah, we had discussed it, and basically it's an administrative situation that you would deal with it according to however you would do any other method that you would go into those practices. And
I just don't want to have to go pick up a bunch of cars and hire a wrecker, and then they're going to say, where you want to put it, and then they charge us for record services. So I just want to make sure on that part. So we'll look at that, and if we got a problem, we'll come back, but that kind
And
of...
if you have a problem, we will address it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Thompson?
Most record service charge storage, and I guess they charge it to the people who the cars are there. You call them and have a list, and they'll go pick it up. The sheriff office.
Councilman Kluart?
Yeah, I don't have a question about the wrecker or who's going to pick up the old washing machine. I'm sure that's going to, at some point in public service, we end up bearing some type of burden, and hopefully it's not a high dollar one for us. I just want to blanket about the ordinance. I'm in favor of the ordinance, but I just want to try to get straight that we're not just talking about anybody that's got anything that ain't moving on their property, okay? All right? I'd made the statement in the Strategic Planning Committee meeting that we're not talking about an old farmer that's got a shed with a pipe rack on the side of it and an old tractor. That's been there for 60 years. That guy, 3 generations, 5 generations, and somebody comes on side of him and builds a $500,000 home that just moved out of some metropolitan area, and, he expects that the whole neighborhood's going to move up $500,000 at the same time that he builds that home. We represent a vast realm of people within our districts, and I know I do. I represent from people that are basically poor to people that are very well off. And I think that one thing that makes the community good that I came from is that you have people that's been there for a long time. And they're settled in a homestead. So I think the intent of the law, correct me, Mr. Shake Snyder, the intent of the law is some of the areas where we have stuff that's basically cluttered up into the street. It poses a health hazard just like the law is reading, and it's just dragging the whole neighborhood down. And some of it's in congested areas where the houses are next to each other, whether it be a subdivision or a small street or something like that, stuff rolling out into the street. And I know the parish has been burdened in the past. I think it was down on Cornerview several years back with all the refrigerators and stuff like that. There's been several instances where the parish had to step up and just do what's good for the neighborhood and try to clean it up. I think that's what this law is trying to address right here. And I just wanted to just say that piece that it's talking about stuff behind a house or something, that the intent of the law is basically to clean up some of the areas that are really bad, really health hazards. And I think even some of the landowners that are renting out and stuff, that they don't have control over it at this point. That's all I got.
Councilman Lower.
Well, when you look at all the major issues we have with roads and drainage and sewer and things like that, sometimes I think you lose sight of some of the little things that can make a big difference. I think this is one of those, and making the noise ordinance more enforceable, the parish court. I know there's a bunch of other great things that strategic planning is working on, but I mean, these are the kind of things, you know, that show we're actually improving our standards, you know, making some of those standards and rules and laws that were a little more lax in the past, we're kind of beefing those up. And I think that makes a big difference when people, in their quality of life and trying to decide where they want to live. It makes it a more enjoyable parish to live in. So, again, I applaud the Strategic Planning Committee and keep these kind of things coming forward.
Real quick.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
I just think the intent is parish is trying to stand up for the people that maintain their yards and their properties. And it's very, very frustrating as a citizen of this parish to make a call to the parish and they see something that's obvious shouldn't be there at that neighborhood and bringing down their property values and have a councilman get on the phone and say, look, we're sorry, there's nothing on the books that allows us to do this.
You're right.
I think this is something that will allow us to get out of those situations and help the people of the parish. And, you know, you can come up with a lot of things, but I think we need to look at it. We need common sense. And a lot of these laws, we need to use common sense, and our enforcement and everything is use common sense and do things. We're not looking for the back of someone's property or anything like that. And 9 times out of 10, with a little bit of effort, people can move things within their property, cut the grass and clean up, and that would satisfy the intent of this law. And so we just want to make things better for Ascension Parish and the people. So I think we just need to move forward.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? Councilman Valentine.
Chairman, yeah, and the majority of the ordinance actually speaks to the owner of the vehicle, and it requires them to take care of it. Only at the end does it say that we may. It doesn't say that we shall. So we have the opportunity to do whatever the Louisiana revised statute 3247 says that we can do with that vehicle. I mean, if we want to sell it for scrap, we can sell it for scrap, according to what this says. So I'm sure that within the enforcement, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the owner of the vehicle or white goods take care of it. And they'll be fined in that process if they don't, and it would be to their benefit to either build something around it, cover it up, and do something as everybody else has stated. So.
Good deal.
Any more discussion, Councilman? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. Before we get to Councilman Todd Lambert, I'd like to thank Deputy Charleston Demby for being here with us tonight. Clint, I'm not sure who's in the back. Thank y'all. I know we're live tonight. Everything went well, and we appreciate y'all. Wade, thank you. Welcome home, Aaron. Councilman Lambert.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second by Councilman Chris Lohr.